Welcome to Consortium's presentation on developing corporate partnerships. We're not calling this corporate fundraising because it really is about partnerships. Corporate partnerships are mutually beneficial relationships between community and voluntary sector organisations and businesses. When we talk about corporate partnerships, we're usually referring to large multinational companies. And when we talk about corporates, we're usually referring to big banks or big multinational organisations. But the guidance here in this presentation covers all sizes and types of business. So whether you're looking to partner with a large company or a smaller local one, I hope you'll find something of relevance here. So let's take a moment to consider your why. And you may want to pause this video while you consider your answer. Why do you want to build corporate partnerships? So here are some of the benefits of corporate partnerships, and the answer you've just written down or thought about may be on this list. So firstly, it's cash, so funding, helping you to diversify your income stream so you're not just relying on grants, so corporate partnerships can bring in another source of income. Often corporates bring in unrestricted funds, so money that you can use as you choose that's not tied to a specific project. But you can also secure sponsorship for specific projects or events. And another benefit is you can often get free help as part of the package. You can get pro bono or free support for your group with things like legal help, accountancy, help with your marketing, for example. Corporates are often a good source of volunteers via LGBT staff networks or just their general volunteers, and also a source of potential individual donors if you build a relationship with them well. And businesses can often give gifts in kind, so they can give you free venues, free technology, free food and drink for events perhaps, or other free things that you might need. And corporate partnerships can also help you raise awareness to promote your cause. They may tell their own audiences and markets about your campaigns and help you raise support. They can help you raise your profile, and it can be a really good PR opportunity and can lead to other partnerships. However, there are some downsides of corporate partnerships. It's not a quick win, it's not a quick way to bring cash into your organisation. It can take time to build the relationship. Also, companies won't always give money. That might be your priority, but companies often want to give other kinds of support or a package of support instead of or as well as money. And there are also ethical and reputational considerations when partnering with businesses, particularly pink washing. So how do we know whether companies are genuine or whether they just want to use your name and your logo and stick a rainbow on everything to help them say how LGBT friendly they are. So we'll come back to that later, but that's one of the other downsides. So, as I've said, most corporate partnerships are not just about asking for money, but it's about building a genuine partnership that has a win-win aspect to it. So it's called a partnership because both parties give something to it, both parties get something back. Ideally, it's a balanced give and take relationship. It develops in stages, is usually longer term, and partners have a shared vision or shared goals that they want to achieve together. And it helps to understand why businesses want to partner. What are their motivations? Well, for most corporates, for most businesses, it's about their brand. They want to be shown to be inclusive and diverse. They want to be shown to be supporting local communities, perhaps, and that helps to build their image as the type of organisation, the type of company that their clients and customers want to buy from or want to secure the services of. So some research has been done that shows that 92% of customers will be more likely to trust a company that supports social or environmental issues. 87% will purchase a product just because a company advocated for an issue they care about. And 76% will refuse to purchase a company's products or services when they learn that the company has supported an issue that's contrary to their beliefs. So really, the brand is all powerful, and corporate partnerships and corporate endorsement of issues is really key to their business and the way they do business. But we can be strategic too. And the main reason that LGBT organisations or any other community organisation partners with a business is to help us deliver our services and our campaigns and to meet our vision and our mission. So you might just want to pause this presentation again to just have a think or write down a few words about your vision and mission, or one sentence to describe what your group or organisation is trying to achieve. And your mission and your vision should be central to your corporate partnership strategy, and indeed to any of your fundraising. Your fundraising should always support your mission and your vision. So it's a partnership because you get something and you give something back. So what could you ask for firstly in a partnership? Remember, it's not just about the money. You could ask for funding, you could ask for cash donations, sponsorship, match funding for their employees to give to you via payroll giving, or for other kinds of funding. You could ask for speakers for your groups or events, possibly mentors for your beneficiaries, volunteers and trustees for your organisation, promoting your services and campaigns via their marketing channels, being their charity of the year, so they will support you over a whole year with fundraising and other types of support. You could ask if their staff could fundraise for you, for example, during Pride season, LGBT History Month, Ida Hobbit, or any other high points of the LGBT year. Sponsoring specific activities or events. Again, that's through cash. Asking their clients or customers to support you. So could they just put the message out in their newsletter or in their other marketing and get people to donate to you or to support your events perhaps? Could they provide free venues, equipment, materials, food, any other kind of gifts in kind for you? You could also ask for them to connect you with any other businesses locally that they might have a relationship with, or they might know and you want to get in front of. Could they connect you with other potential corporate partners or with other donors? And is there any free support you need? So with your HR, with your finances, marketing, branding, legal help, that kind of thing. And finally, it's always good to ask what they can offer and let them suggest ways that they can help. And lots of organisations struggle to come up with what they could offer. They think that, especially if they're a small group, that they've got nothing to offer back, and that a corporate or a business would not be interested in what they have to offer. But you have expertise, you have knowledge and skills, you have people, you have services, and if you sit down and try to put a package together, try to put your offer together, there's probably quite a few things that you could offer in return. So this could include some kind of training for their staff, inclusion training, or training in a specific area that you specialise in. So for example, mental health, or older people, or working with younger people, working with families. You could offer volunteering opportunities for their staff, or opportunities to give you pro bono help. And larger companies really do value this. They're always looking for ways to get their staff involved in communities as a way of enhancing their employees' experience of working there and their well-being. You could offer invitations to your events, especially if you have links with high-profile people or with access to particular venues that they might not be able to get access to otherwise. You could partner with them for Pride events or campaigns. You could support their entries in business awards, for example, providing a testimonial or a case study to say how well they work with local communities. You could offer PR opportunities, so don't underestimate the value of your logo or photos or interviews that you can provide. You can advertise their services if appropriate to your members or donors if you have a large contact list or large member group or donor group. You could display their logo or their banner at events. You could wear their logo on your t-shirts. You could link them with your other partners and supporters as well. So if you already have support from other companies or other high profile people, or even from people that might be their ideal clients and customers, that would be valuable to a company, and you could put them in touch. And finally, again, you can ask what they need and what you could do for them. So how to package up your offer to a company? So firstly, you have to stand in their shoes and understand their priorities, understand their motivations. Who are they? What do they want? What do they need? What are their corporate social responsibility or CSR priorities? You could have a look on their website or speak to somebody who works for the company about the types of causes that they support. How would you how partnering with you enhance their brand and their business? How could you help their staff? So after finding out what they want, just think about whether you could easily and realistically offer something to them, or what could you offer, and package up from the previous lists and from other ideas you have. Package up an offer. So what could you offer, and what would you be asking for? So how do you find companies and businesses to approach? So rather than just go and approach the first business that comes into your head, it pays to have a bit of a system for how to do this. So think about your existing links. So do you already have links with companies that have supported you? Have you met people at events that work for particular companies? Are there companies that are local to you that you could approach? Ask your trustees and volunteers and staff whether they have links to any companies or businesses. Do you have local businesses near you, local branches of bigger businesses? Do you have are there organisations, are there companies that work nationally in the same areas as your organisation? So if you're based in Bristol, is there a big company that has a branch in Bristol, or a HQ in Bristol perhaps? Don't forget companies or businesses where you are a customer or a client. So this could be your bank, your mobile phone company, your solicitor's practice, an estate agent that you bought your house from. Because you're giving them your money and your support, they are more likely to give something back or to be willing to listen to your proposal. And then look at LGBT businesses if you haven't done so. So are there LGBT businesses in your area? Are there businesses that are LGBT plus owned or led? Are there businesses that have an interest in LGBT plus issues, a declared interest that you know about, or businesses that are working towards diversity and inclusion? And again, look at their websites for clues. And also, when identifying potential partners, keep in mind the ethical and reputational issues that might arise from partnering them before you decide to go ahead. So I'd urge you to draw up a shortlist, to make a list of 30 to 50 businesses you could approach, going through your contacts, asking your staff, trustees and volunteers, looking at businesses in your area and so on, and then identify the top 5 best fit businesses on your list. So how do you approach a business? Well, this depends on whether you already have a contact in the business or not. Do you already have a link? If you do, you can get help from that person to set up a meeting. But make sure you've researched the business and you go prepared with a vision of how you might partner. If you don't have a contact in the business, you can see if you can find someone who knows them to introduce you, or you can find a way to connect in person. So go to places where they might be, such as networking groups or professional networks. But if necessary, you could cold call or email and ask them if they will meet with you to discuss a partnership. So here's your script or some ideas of what to say. So if you're emailing or phoning them, tell them who you are. Say what you know about them, particularly that they like to support, local causes or LGBT causes or whatever you've found out about them. And then invite them to meet with you to explore opportunities for a mutually beneficial partnership. And you could ask for an informal half-hour meeting, or you could ask them to visit you, or ask them if they would rather have a phone call if their time is short. And if you don't hear back from them, follow up 1 to 2 weeks later. So fundraising is about persistence. So don't just take an initial lack of interest as a no necessarily. Just call them up or email them again in a couple of weeks. There might be a different person that they suggest you speak to. You could ask if there's someone else who you should approach, or maybe you can say, I know your budget, you might have spent your budget for this year, but if there any chance we can talk about next year, and how do you go about that? How do you go about getting on their list for next year? So when you meet them, of course, be passionate, enthusiastic, really well informed about their company, and also know the essential facts about your organisation or project and anticipate any questions they're going to ask. Talk about the need that you have, what you want to do and how they can help. Identify really the gaps and how they can help you fill the gaps. So a cash donation might be really important, but you could also say that you'd value other support, and also suggest how you can help them, and ask them if they have other suggestions for ways you could partner. And then don't leave the meeting or the conversation without clarifying the process for taking it further. So what are the next steps? Is there somebody else that they need to go and speak to? When do you expect to hear back from them? And if it's a no, again, you could ask about next year, or if there's another department that you should be speaking to. So you might be able to speak to HR specifically about employee volunteering. You might be able to speak to their LGBT network if you're not already in contact with them. So there might be other opportunities within the same company. So try to get some contact details if it is a no. So here are a couple of examples of how you could partner. So for example, a local LGBT older people's organisation has partnered with a local restaurant, and the restaurant has provided a monthly meeting space for the older people's group with free tea and coffee. The restaurant has, after a while, agreed to sponsor a day trip for the group and pays for transport. During Pride Month, they sell an item on their menu, a Pride smoothie perhaps, and donate a proportion of the profits. They also can hold a pre-Pride themed evening, and the organisation can come and fundraise at that event. And in return, the group provides LGBT inclusion training, specifically to help create a positive environment for LGBT staff and customers at the restaurant. PR opportunities, particularly around Pride, and also offers to support the restaurant's entry for local business awards. And here's another example. So a national LGBT plus mental health organisation partners with a major bank, and the bank provides £10,000 as sponsorship for a project, a chance for employees to fundraise via the LGBT staff network, more fundraising via a local branch, and also some support to set up financial systems and accountancy software. And in return, the organisation provides a talk on mental health for the LGBT plus staff network and ongoing support for the network around mental health, a meeting with the HR department to develop guidance for staff around mental wellbeing, a direct referral route to their services for LGBT plus staff. This isn't kind of jumping the queue, this is just having, they know there's somebody they can phone and to refer a staff member if they have to. And also, again, the volunteering opportunities at Pride. So, ethical considerations. And I would always say it's down to the individual organisation who they choose to partner with and how they make that decision. One group or organisation might be happy to partner with a particular company and another organisation wouldn't touch them, depending on the type of work that you do and your own personal ethics and those of your trustees. And the people that you serve, your service users and your community, that might influence your decisions. So things to consider: do the company's business activities fit with your organisational values and ethics? And if you don't have an ethical fundraising policy, this might be something you want to consider. So a policy would say what type of business you'd be happy to partner with or not happy to partner with, mostly the latter. So if a company shows any kind of abuse of LGBT plus human rights, you probably wouldn't want to consider it. But there are some other things you could include or consider: human rights more generally, the environment, arms and weapons, animal rights, alcohol, tobacco, drugs companies. Depending on the type of organisation you are, might depend on which of these you want to include. Okay, you could also check out the Ethical Consumer website, which particularly has a list of companies in the retail sector and has a boycott list, so companies that they suggest that you shouldn't buy from or partner with. You could use Google to research the company and see if there are any negative news stories about their social or environmental impact or effects. And internally, just have a look at what your process is for agreeing potential partners. Does it need to go to the committee or to your board? And also, what happens if any reputational issues come to light? How will you deal with them? And if you have a partnership agreement, is this in your contract? So how do we build real, genuine partnerships that benefit our communities and avoid just giving businesses the chance to put a rainbow on something and say they support the LGBT community without giving you much in return? So there are different views within LGBT plus communities. So one view is that big brands, the big companies bring money into the sector and help us raise awareness, so it's okay to take the money. And then the other opposing view is that businesses just want to make money and they don't really care about LGBT plus sector. Again, it's all about the brand. So you might have your own view on this, but think about what the partnership might achieve for you and for the company, and think about where the profits go if they're selling rainbow products or if they're engaging in pride activities and making money from that. Do you get any of that, or do other LGBT plus organisations get any of that? If they're selling products on your behalf, you might want to ask questions about how and where the products are made and whether you're happy with this, whether there are any kind of human rights implications there. Think about the business year round. Does it demonstrate support for LGBT plus inclusion year round, or is it just a pride thing? What are their staff practices like with LGBT plus staff? So there are lots of questions that you could ask just to be happy and comfortable partnering with them, and that you're not just being subject to their pink washing. So we'd always advise having some kind of partnership agreement in place for formal or longer term partnerships. to identify roles and responsibilities and how you'll work together. So here's a few suggestions on things to include, and this all could be included in an email as well, even if you don't have a written contract. So what are your roles and responsibilities? Who are the key partners? What are the aims of the partnership? And also identify any potential risks or things that could go wrong, and state what will happen if these risks occur and how you would deal with them. How long is the partnership, and are there any milestones or review points that you've built in to the partnership, to the contract? And finally, how will you measure or monitor outcomes for each partner? So just a final reminder that, like any relationship, corporate partnerships depends upon clear expectations, clear communication, some negotiation, mutual trust, respecting boundaries, partners fulfilling their promises and doing what they say they'll do, and finally, importantly, looking out for red flags, looking out for any kind of signs that things are not quite right, and knowing when to walk away. And there are some rules and regulations about corporate partnerships and other types of fundraising. So the Fundraising Code of Practice does have some guidance on corporate partnerships. You might want to check that out. And also the Charity Commission and the HMRC and other departments often bring out regulations around fundraising, especially corporate partnerships. So these might be publicised in the charity media, such as Third Sector magazine or Charity Times. So it's good to just keep an eye on what's happening in the sector generally, and if there are any new regulations or changes to regulations. Okay, so that's the end of the presentation. If you have any questions arising for your organisation, please get in touch with us. And as I've said, you're very welcome to get in touch and schedule an appointment where we can talk about your particular needs, your particular organisation and your plans in a bit more detail, so we can give you some tailored support. If you have any feedback on this training, or if there's other training you think we could produce on fundraising or anything else, again, do get in touch and let us know. Okay, thank you and good luck with your fundraising.